Dino will continue on the good vibes bandwagon as Craig Conroy was unveiled yesterday. We knew it. We talked about it, but we finally got to see it. There's some art from the Flames. Look at that, Dino, huh?
I do love it.
And he talked about it. Wasn't a popular trade at the time. Iggy gave him the gears. He got run in the media. Another checking guy. We don't need that. Corey Stillman, first rounder the other way. This was not a popular arrival in Calgary. He was feeling the heat. His wife was feeling the heat. And, you'll never be able to keep Americans in Calgary. Never mind. A career Flame, a Calgarian through and through. He said this is his dream job to be the GM of the Calgary Flames. Look at that one. Young Craig, huh?
So great.
Captain. So that was before he handed it off to Jerome, which was a tight little window there.
Yeah, he shared the cat. Look at the teeth.
There he handed it over there. Yeah.
Pearly whites. Everywhere. It was before the 03-04 run. So 1 year wearing the C. Year and a bit. Co-captain therein as well. With Bobby Bugner, I believe it was.
So the question will be, we saw Jerome in the photo. What? Jerome? Because Jerome, people are writing articles about Jerome being in the organization already. Wants to explore, nothing to announce currently. We'll see. What would your level of surprise be if Jerome was not in the organization in a year?
Well, it'd be very high. My surprise level would be very high. It just seems like it's a matter of when. And as Rhett said, if you think they aren't going to be in conversations, it's going to be an interesting year. As much as Jerome is going to be coaching his kids' team, he's going to be a satellite, president, co-president of hockey ops or whatever. He's going to be up to his eyeballs in it. So, which is good, right? Because I don't know. I'm sure Jerome watches a lot of hockey and he's still invested in the Flames, but now he's got him, we would think, a year to really get up to speed on the team, the farm system, what else is going on in the league. So when he comes in and it feels like a win, I think he'll be well-versed in all of it.
Connie made some great points too. His oldest kid has got to be what, Rhett? It's his draft eligible year, so 17-year-old season. His youngest kid, it's his 15-year-old season coming up. His daughter's played on the national team. Like, this guy has seen a lot of the coming 3 draft classes. Not that that's everything, but Jerome will be familiar with the people that will be brought out on podiums and placed on NHL rosters in the next 3 years. It isn't just, hey, he played here, he's got a nice smile, bring him in. He's in the fabric of a lot of these kids and their draft years the next 3 years.
Yeah, I never thought of that side of it, but you're right. He was down in the States in Boston for a long time. Well, for some of it, so we'd even know, not just Western Canadian kids where he's living now. So you were talking about Tanguay the last time I jumped up. Yeah, Tanguay would be very good. I don't know that it's a head coach spot, but it's he'd be awesome for a power play. He just sees the game differently. He sees it offensively, right? You got to remember, we used to have Versteeg on the other show, and he'd give you insight into things that you don't think about, right? So it would be the same for Tanguay. He would see the game in a different, totally unique and different way.
And another guy just smiling all the time.
That is true.
Like he's got those smile marks. He smiles so much. Be a lot of smiling going on around here.
Just like you, Dean.
Yeah, just like me and Big
Just
D.
upside down, but they're smile marks, right?
That's right.
He's the pout fish.
The only time Tanguay was smiling too much for our liking was on locker clearout day. Like, could you just hide it for a day?
You're far too happy, Tangs, for the season to be
over. The Titleist hat and the smiles just a little too much. One or the other.
Yeah, turn it down a bit, Tangs. Just dial it down a little bit.
Okay,
but so I can see that for sure. I was just going to say he does have. He would be, I would think, a natural fit in some assistant coach capacity. Now, you want the head coach to be able to build whatever staff that he wants, but I would think,
well,
if you have an Alex Tanguay potentially at your disposal, whether you have a great relationship or you know the guy from Adam, yes, please bring him in. Let's go.
Yeah, or he becomes that Adam Oates roving guy in the organization.
Adam Oates,
prospects or AHL, big club, wherever he's needed and can help. Go.
The other, what I was going to jump in on was I said it yesterday, and I'm going to keep saying it until you get some clarity on it. What's Jerome want? Is
Yep.
he coaching or is he management? It's a huge difference.
Yep, big time. And maybe he'll have sort of that flexibility to get on the ice here or there, be in on scouting meetings, go like that. It really,
but that's management. You're not. That's a management position, right? If you say you're coaching, you're coaching. You're not taking a trip off to go scout a kid in Quebec. If you're coaching, if you're coaching, you have to coach.
What's your read, Rhett? You obviously know these guys very well. Craig, we can see as he's be a manager. Iggy, to me, from a distance, feels like more on the coaching side, but I could be wrong. What do you see?
I just wonder about his competitive nature and how much that plays into it. When you're part of an NHL organization, you're going to get a certain, some of your thirst for competition will be taken care of, but I think from a management side, you're not in the war every night, and I feel like that's an Iggy thing. I think he likes that competition, and I think he likes that part of it. But I don't know. I mean, coaching is completely different. Like, even though you are on the bench and you are doing every night, you're still not playing. There's so many guys that I've talked to that it's like you can't replace the playing. So I don't know.
Feels Brindamore-esque to me. Maybe you assist or you do something. I don't think he's going to go to, the Wranglers or anything like that. I think he steps right in at the NHL level. But he just feels like a guy that needs, to your point, needs that juice that you can probably only get from playing or being on the bench.
I could see him doing both. I really could. I think he would like I think that his competition and his compete would want to kind of lends itself to more of the coaching side, but he certainly would. Again, it depends on, I don't know. I don't know what role you're going to give him, right? Because if he's not the GM, the assistant GM, is he happy with that title? Is he another VP? Or I don't know. And if he's not coming now, how does it work with the coaching staff? That's a tough one, right? You're going to bring in new coaches and put together a coaching staff and have a hold spot for a guy for next year?
I was just going to say, basically, aren't you just so happy to have a guy that potentially, we believe, that's going to be coming into your fold in some capacity, right? Because Jerome did not win a cup, but man, he's seen and done a lot of everything else. The one thing, and when Craig brought up yesterday about having Lanny around and talking to Lanny, not to say it's going to be a title or anything, but he will be, right? He will be using Lanny as a sounding board. Absolutely.
They've stolen all of our ideas.
That's true. They really have. Rhett said 4 years ago that if and when this thing fails, it's going to be Connie and Iggy. And all of us thought,
should probably get Lanny involved too, right? Should probably get Lanny
involved. For a decade, we've been saying, why isn't Lanny involved for a decade? Like, he doesn't have
It's going to be so great to have Lanny around now. Oh, is that right, Craig? Fuck. No, I'm happy for everybody, honest. And it's not, I like Brad. Brad's one of the finest guys that you'll meet. And you know how we feel about Daryl. It was a shitty year, but prior to this year, everybody loved Daryl. Yep. It's not about how great it is to be turning the page from what you had, but there's just so many good people involved. You just really hope that it works for everybody.
New beginnings.
Right?
And speaking of which, and speaking of whom, the former general manager, not the current, appears to be candidate number one in Toronto.
I can see that.
Andy Strickland of the Cam and Strick podcast based out of St. Louis, Dino? And this has been the vibes. The way Brendan Shanahan described what he wants in a GM, Brad immediately jumped to the top of the list. And I don't think, unless Brendan Shanahan's lying to us about what he wants, that he's not a very legitimate candidate. Frank yesterday handicapped that it's even money. Like, that's him versus the field. That's incredible that both he, Dubas, might be working very quickly after parting ways with their clubs.
Unique circumstances for both of them to leave, though, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like there's certain guys out there that other teams would love to scoop up immediately if they know they're coming loose. It just happens that they did. So Treliving feels like the right fit in Toronto for me.
And it'd be great for him to go from a scenario where it's, tough season, everybody's disappointed and lots of changes and stuff going on. What's this? Austin Matthews when's his deal up at the end of next season? Oh, okay, shit. That's just what I need to. Only had 7 of those in Calgary. Only a few of them here. That's not going to be.
Ones, that's all.
That's not going to be an easy one for whoever takes that job, and that might be the only thing is if Treliving looks at it and says it's nothing greater than winning in Toronto, but what are you facing? You've got 2 years of Marner and Tavares, 1 year of Matthews and Nylander.
You don't have a goalie necessarily.
Well, and what's Treliving just went through it with Gaudreau.
I know. That's what I mean. Do you go to another team where it's like, okay, they're over the hump, they've done their winning, that window is closed, let's start fresh again? I don't know.
Well, I think at least for him moving in there is a fresh face, right? Like who knows what he would do with the Matthews situation or any of the situations, but at least he kind of got handed this one instead of grew it himself.
Get Craig on the phone with Brad. We bring Willie Nylander home. Calgary.
Christ, you know what? Do we need to go to Alberta and do a show in Toronto and fix the fucking Leafs? Like, we got to get that figured out too?
Oh, seriously.
Because we clearly fixed the Flames.
We'll move to league notes. We talked about Dallas Vegas last night. We talked about it. We didn't see it. Here is Jamie Benn making maybe one of the biggest bonehead decisions we've seen in the playoffs this spring, and that's
where was the contact made? And I believe the contact was in the jaw area.
Wango
right there.
Oh,
yeah, right across the jaw. I certainly support it.
So he knocks over Stone.
Doesn't
a bit
like
of
Stone.
Body check, and then decides that's not enough. Take that.
In the second minute of the game, 1-0 Vegas at that point. They would add to that lead with the 5-minute man advantage he granted them. 5 in a game, a hearing with the league today.
Fun.
And I just don't see how he gets less than 2 here, even when I'm the biggest spin the wheel of justice. We never know what they're doing. I mean, they could really throw the book. This is so unnecessary and so vicious. Like, there's no reason this should be allowed in the sport, or you should be able to come back after doing something this stupid. The Pietrangelo whack, we see varieties of slashes all the time. This is a cross check to the neck area. You could break someone's neck doing this.
Is there a history?
Well, I was going to say, I think there is, but I don't know what the statute of limitations is on it. Remember, we would talk to Brian Burke, and he would sometimes you take into account, or they would take into account, what time of the game was the penalty. So he got the 5 in a game and basically missed 58 minutes of the hockey game. And they had a 5-minute power play, and they lost the game. Does that mean that's essentially game 1 of your 1-game suspension? Maybe. So you get 1 more game?
Or 2 more.
I don't know.
Subtract 1 off the total.
Has he essentially served game 1 of a suspension already? I don't know.
Good thing to keep in mind. I imagine we'll get news today, tomorrow at the latest, given that they got to pick up the series. Down 3-0. He might not play again this season. He might be carrying over the regular season games are worth more. You're going to miss or worth less. You're going to miss a few out of the gate next year. We'll see. Not the move you wanted. And here's another move you don't want. Hey, you represent the team, rain or shine. You're the captain. Come face the media when things don't go well. Nah, I'm good. This is Craig Button, our boy.
Spitting truth. Yeah, look at him.
Yeah, from the Cool Button podcast. So the captain does not speak. 100% unacceptable. That is when somebody tells him that is your responsibility. Not speaking is not an option.
Well, then I'll get the coach fired. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, DeBoer. I don't know.
How dare you tell me to go talk to the media? Where's my agent? I can't play for this man.
Yeah. I see what you're doing now.
He said I had to take a shit. Tell him I was taking a shit and I couldn't do the post.
I was on the table. I was not taking a shit. How dare you suggest I was pooed?
I'd love to talk about that cross-tech to the chin, but I'm taking a shit.
Game 4 tonight. Carolina, Florida. Panthers red hot. Bobrovsky a brick wall. Carolina struggling to score.
How great it is to see Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel, these Guys that are just, I don't know what's held them back in the past, but just playoff gladiators, you know? Brandon Montour.
What was holding you back? Boy, there's something in common there with all those
So
guys.
great. Oh, man, it's
Weird.
just needed a chance, I guess.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
Vitamin D. Dino.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, that's all you need.
I got some news from Chris Johnston, NHL Insider, regarding the cap. This is important and yet also boring at the same time.
This is Pinder report.
I mean, it is not the Boomer report. We're not doing balloon up.
1 million bump, or concessions to push the
We'll see. Something to keep an eye on. Only a couple items left. Stay with me here. Toronto was brutal. The Blue Jays lost 5 in a row last night. Got to take it out a little on the heavy bag as they walloped the Rays by a score of 20-1. It's the second largest victory in franchise history, going back to last year's 28-5 win against Boston at Fenway. That was the day of the Tkachuk blockbuster. I remember I was at a rodeo in Invermere. That game was going on, and then the Tkachuk trade broke. It was insanity.
Save some of those runs because you've been terrible.
I say, can you also hit against position players today too? That'd be nice. 2 different non-pitchers pitched for the Rays last night. And finally, Rhett, you're in a house right now, but I think this was the last hotel you were at. 4th floor, 3rd floor, 2th floor, 3rd floor. Thanks for visiting.
That's just as kisses.
Beth Griffith.
1st floor.
Your hotel. And I do want to remind you, Dino, we did get a video sent in from one of our pals.
Oh.
I don't know if you want it now in the Pinder report or later. It kind of feels like a standalone item.
Wait on it. Yeah. Hold it. Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Rhett, there you are. That's your Nashville hotel. Thanks for the photo there.
Very nice. Brought to you by Village Honda, the $1 Million Buying Event. We've been telling you about it. It continues. Get cash for your vehicle. They'll buy yours even if you don't buy theirs. Sellers receive a tropical cruise for 2 exclusively at Village Honda, your dealership for life.